Good morning. I don't know if we're going to be able to cover everything we need to in an hour today, based on the news that just broke within the last 60 seconds. This is DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. It is Wednesday, January 14th. John, nice to see you.
Good to see you, Ted.
We're going to be talking about the Clintons' refusal to testify in the Epstein committee investigation and their 4-page letter, basically attacking the DOJ and the House and the House committee. Native Americans are being held hostage by ICE. We're talking about U.S. citizens. Yeah, well, it sounds outlandish. It's in the Washington Post. We'll talk about it. Iran, the crisis is heating up. Just as we went on the air, John, I'm sure you saw it, the U.S. decided to evacuate personnel from a U.S. military base in Qatar. And so that's in preparation for possible Iranian retaliation against U.S. attack, which would be itself retaliation for whatever Iran is doing to crack down on protesters there. And Japan and South Korea are cozying up as a bulwark against China. Also breaking just as we went on the air this morning, the Washington Post is saying that one of its reporters has been raided by the DOJ as part of an investigation into her reporting. So a lot to talk about, lots of comments. As always, please put your questions and comments in the live feed if you're watching live, either on Rumble or on YouTube. One other piece of housekeeping, and I promise that this one's actually going to be less grim than the ones I just mentioned. New t-shirt is available. You can show your support for pardoning John Kiriakou by buying it on the YouTube channel. Just go over to YouTube. You'll see the merch click. And if you're a tier 2 member, you can also get special benefits over there. The t-shirt's up on the screen. It says hashtag pardon John Kiriakou. Wear it loud, wear it proud. Okay. And that's
the young John Kiriakou with good hair.
Yeah, when you're one day when you're a national hero, as you richly deserve, you won't only have your star on Broadway, but you're going to have your stamps, like your old Elvis, new Elvis stamps.
Right.
I'll buy a sheet of both and put them on the wall.
It's
hard to choose which I like better.
Ed Snowden said to me one time, wouldn't it be cool if there were stamps of us? And I said, there could be, but in like Ghana. I would have to fly to Ghana just to buy a sheet of stamps.
No, it would be worth the trip for sure. I'm as a former philatelist, that is something that it's true. They always have weird stamps in the developing world, let's say. All right, John, should we do some questions, or should we talk about the Epstein thing? Should we talk about the Iran crisis? What should we do?
Let's do a quick sort of update. If you don't mind, I'd like to talk about this Washington Post situation for a second.
Please.
So we're talking about Hannah Nathanson, who is a longtime Washington Post reporter. She's part of the investigative team. She normally covers like the federal workforce or developments in federal regulations or stuff like that. Well, she'd been working on an article about a guy named Aurelio Perez Lugones. He's just a mid-level system administrator in Maryland. He happens to have a top secret security clearance. And sometimes people with security clearances do really stupid things. And this guy was caught with classified documents in his lunchbox and also in the basement of his home.
Who does he think he is? President Biden?
I know, right? And so she had been interviewing people for a story about him and the retention of classified documents. Now, the way the Espionage Act is written, the retention of classified documents is a crime, and possessing classified documents is a crime. The crime is not on the part of the reporter. There is actually no prohibition in the Espionage Act for receiving classified information.
Right.
It's only providing classified information. So this is not an attack on her, on Hannah Nathanson. This is an attack on
it's a fishing expedition is what it is.
Yeah, it's
They're trying to
official.
look. They're looking. Well, maybe
for
it's
her
not.
vote.
That's not quite the right word, right?
Yeah.
It's part of their investigation. They're trying to. They think she has information about him. They're trying to build their case. They want whatever she has. Presumably, she would not have turned that if she had any integrity. Hey, she doesn't work
Yeah.
at Intercept. She would not turn over that information voluntarily.
Yeah. That's right.
So
This happens every once in a while. The Obama people did this to a guy in the Department of the Navy. The George W. Bush did this to a woman who worked at like EPA or education or something, and her husband happened to work for the Navy. So presidents do this. This
didn't it happen to Roger Mudd back in the 1970s too?
It did happen to Roger Mudd. The Nixon people were furious with him.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
I mean, and I mean, look, my only thing here is I hope that she, this is a reminder to reporters that even if your devices are at home, that they should be secured, in all the obvious important ways to secure your personal data, so that if a search warrant is executed, it's not going to be easy for the government to extract the information.
That's right.
They all apparently took her Garmin watch too. I guess they wanted to know where she's been. That's kind of smart. Also, a reminder that if you have a Garmin, which I do, you should periodically, maybe daily, but you should periodically erase the history.
Yes, that's absolutely true.
I don't know if you can recover it. I would imagine that anyone with any tech chops could at Langley or at Quantico could get it out. But why make it easy?
I'll tell you one thing that happened to me. I was watching a ball game one day. My wife and kids were in Cincinnati, so I was all by myself. And while I was watching the ball game, I got an automated email from the Apple servers saying that my hard drive, my disk was almost full, and that I needed to delete unnecessary whatever. So over the course of watching the ball game, which was 3 hours, I deleted thousands of old email messages. Mm-hmm. Most of which were in my trash. Then I went through files I just deleted, and then I deleted from trash. A couple of months later, 6 months later, the FBI raids my house. They take all my shit.
Oh, man.
And they want to know why I deleted all this stuff. Was I committing espionage? And I told them exactly what I just told you. I was watching a ball game one day. I got this automated message. Where's the message? I said, I deleted it. It told me to delete it.
Who keeps that?
We're going to charge you with, they were going to charge me with computer fraud, conspiracy, and some other felony. Well, they had already charged me with 5 felonies. I said, bring it.
Charge away, fuckers.
I don't care. I said, I'll testify on my own behalf. And eventually you guys are going to have to get the information from Apple since you've subpoenaed everything anyway. And it's going to exonerate me. So go ahead, charge me. I don't.
You guys will look stupid.
And then they never charged me with anything.
Yeah, there's a lot of bluffing. Yeah. We were just okay. So that's I think a good place to touch on that. We probably should talk about Iran. Obviously this is probably this evacuation, which we've seen before in other situations.
Yeah. This is big. Rashid Air Base in Qatar. This is the biggest Air Force base in the world.
Yeah.
In the world. And it's the headquarters of our Air Force in the Middle East. This is huge.
So the Iranians have warned that Trump's been saber rattling now for a better part of a week about these protests, saying, I'm going to, if the Iranians kill more protesters, if they hang anyone, he said yesterday, I'm coming for them. As usual, the threat is blustery, but very vague. So the Iranians don't really know what to expect exactly. But the Iranians have said that if anything happens, they might attack U.S. bases. Mm-hmm. How worried do you think the Americans are, or is this just done out of an abundance of caution? Like if there's even a 0.1% chance they're going to evacuate personnel?
Well, like you and I have said to each other offline, I think that really this is an abundance of caution situation because I don't think we have made a decision to attack Iran. There are not enough. Naval assets in the area. We talked about it yesterday. The nearest carrier battle group is in the South China Sea. So I think what Donald Trump is trying to do is to talk so tough that it encourages Iranian protesters and weakens the Iranian government, and then they overthrow the government, and we don't have to send troops or naval assets or whatever. It's not going to work.
No.
But I think that's what he's doing. And then when the Iranians said yesterday afternoon or evening that if attacked, they will in turn attack U.S. bases, because there are 144 U.S. bases around Iran. And I told you that joke, that why do the Iranians put their country right in the middle of our military bases?
Right.
So I think that it's posturing right now on both sides.
I mean, think about the Iranians. I mean, how for the better part of several decades, until very recently, they were squeezed in by U.S. occupations on both sides of their border, right? They had us occupying Iraq and Afghanistan at the same time.
At the same time.
Imagine, that would be like China occupying Canada and Mexico at the same time. I mean, we'd be feeling the squeeze.
Yeah, it's true. Things are, well, where did I just see it? I think I just saw it. Was it Frasmataz? No, it was Elliot Covert. Elliot, let's not fall asleep like we did before Venezuela. It's an important point.
No, it's true.
It's easy for people like us who don't have access to the classified information and who don't have access to, the meetings taking place, for example, in the White House and the Pentagon right now. But you're right. I mean, we think it would be crazy to do something like this, but
they might.
But they might.
I mean, look, they just kidnapped the president of Venezuela. We've already forgotten about that. It's like, well, we had our protest over the weekend. That's done.
Yeah, exactly. And then everybody goes home.
Yeah, that's how this goes. I hope Maduro, whoever's representing him these days, explains that to him really well. I mean, that's got to be the most dispiriting aspect of being that kind of high-profile defendant. You're thinking like, oh, the world's on fire. Well, the world was on fire for 48 hours, and now they've moved on. Until you're at trial, they're not going to care again. John, let's talk about let's get. Oh yeah, I want to address Robbie's question here. What does Iran have to lose at this point if they do retaliate? I mean, John, what do you think?
Honestly, not a lot. I think that the Iranians are able to generally absorb U.S. attacks. We saw them just absorb Israeli attacks, and in most cases didn't even respond. They didn't have to.
Well, because the counterfactual is impossible to gauge, right? So let's say Iran, we attack Iran, Iran retaliates, and then we attack them back. There's no way for the Iranians to know what that counterattack would have looked like if they hadn't retaliated, right? It's kind of like, well, it would have been worse. Worse than what? You don't know, because you don't know what the other side has in mind, like you just said, John.
That's right.
Okay, so let's talk. Let's hit some comments if you're okay with that.
Let's do that. This is my favorite part of it anyway.
Me too. All right, Big 86. As per other comments, please discuss the use of the sonic device causing the Havana syndrome. So the U.S. has admitted to buying it for 8 figures off an unnamed third party, and that it was used in Venezuela. I don't know about the 8 figures. I haven't seen that. But basically, the CIA says that it is in possession of a device that might be responsible for Havana syndrome, and that it apparently has Russian component parts. That may or may not mean anything, and that we don't really know for sure. And so there's going to be some kind of announcement forthcoming. Havana syndrome is, of course, the U.S. embassy workers in Havana who for years reported getting headaches and getting sick, and then, like, most recently and hilariously, it was blamed on a cricket.
Cricket.
On a very annoying bug, not the kind of bug that the CIA uses. What do you think about all this? I mean, I feel like I just want to hear more right now. I'm just like, we've heard so much about this. I don't really have an opinion.
So this is CNN reporting that the Pentagon, along with the CIA, a year ago bought for 8 figures a device in a clandestine operation that
your tax dollars at work.
Tax dollars at work. That's it. That a third party says created Havana syndrome. CIA is not commenting. The Pentagon's been working with the Department of Homeland Security to try to test this thing. So they've been working with it for a year. It produces, I'm reading this now, it produces pulsed radio waves. The device has Russian components, although it's not entirely Russian.
Russia denies having any involvement whatsoever.
They deny everything. And I'll tell you what, I was in Havana when this thing first happened. And the first time it happened was in Havana, and that's why they call it Havana syndrome. And the Cubans immediately reached out to the State Department and said,
it's not us.
It's not us. You're welcome to come here, investigate all you want. We'll help in any way you can. We want to assure you it's not us. And so, I speculated, just like everybody else speculates, that it might be the Russians, it might be the Chinese, it might be us, it might be the Israelis. Who knows?
John, could it be so a very old, I think it goes back at least to the 1970s, maybe the 1960s or 50s, a very old form of surveillance is to bounce microwaves, aim microwaves at a building. Yes. And the way it works is if people like you and I are talking inside a room, the frequency is picked up by harmonic resonance in the glass. Correct. And then the microwaves bounce off the glass, and then you're able to hear what's being said inside, even though you're far away, right?
That's right.
And so that's old.
And that's from the late 60s.
And microwave radiation, from everything I know, can cause those same exact symptoms. They can cause, some people are very sensitive to them more than others. Some people even develop nausea. They certainly can cause cancer.
Yes.
Migraine headaches, even among people who don't suffer from migraines. I mean, this reeks of that to me. It has from day one for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'll tell you what, I will admit that when this thing first became public, I thought, no, this is common mental illness. I talked to
hysteria.
Literally a dozen psychologists at the American Psychological Association. They all agreed this was mental illness until friends of mine started talking about it. Mark Polymeropoulos and I were at the agency together. We sort of came of age at the agency together. He switched over to operations before I did and ended up becoming the station chief in Moscow. He left the CIA. He now heads a group of former CIA officers who suffer from Havana syndrome. He has sued the CIA because they will not recognize that there is such a thing as Havana syndrome.
Yeah,
but
it's always like what they do, like Agent Orange, like the burn pits, everything.
Disgraceful. Burn pits, great example. My best friend from high school died because of exposure to the burn pits. Anyway,
and President Biden's son,
Bo Biden. And so Mark ended up having an MRI because he was suffering so badly. And the MRI showed a traumatic brain injury.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's documented. It's a traumatic brain injury. So I've become a true believer.
But he wasn't involved in any head trauma or anything like that.
No, never.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to put money on it, I'd definitely go with the microwave radiation.
I think so.
And I don't think it's this I don't think it's this little $40 million gadget.
No. Agreed.
Okay, so Venkatesh, thank you for this question. For both of us, do you think your chances of, this is John, your chance of getting a pardon will be affected when you criticize this administration, which deserves a lot of admonishment? Hope you get your pardon soon.
Thank you. Yes, this is something that I struggle with every single day. On the one hand, intellectually, I know I have to keep my mouth shut. On the other hand, I am like physically and psychologically unable to keep my mouth shut. And so,
thus whistleblower.
I can't help it. I try very much to be analytic in my positions. I try not to take a side. I think I'm actually pretty good at not taking a side.
Yeah, but, no, I agree with that.
I try hard, but the truth is that this
You're
administration.
not a partisan hack. You're
I'm
not.
not. The
But I
truth
mean,
is,
obviously, I mean, you must have loved ones who say, like, John, can't you just shut the fuck up about Trump?
and friends. Yeah, I can't help it.
All
But
right,
I
well,
hope against hope that people will respect me for speaking my mind.
right. And it's
We'll see.
also like, it's not like you're picking on the president or this
No, I'm not.
administration,
I'm not.
you know, and neither am I.
No,
And I
no. You're
wouldn't,
just
and
you're.
your thing aside, I still wouldn't. I mean, it's not really my way. I'm interested in trying to figure out what's real, what's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Just filming, really. Hope you don't take this disrespectfully on your show talking about another show, but Ted, have you heard from Jamal Thomas? Is he okay?
Ah.
To my knowledge, he's okay. Yes.
Yeah.
I have
I've
heard from
actually
him a
spoken
few
to him.
days ago.
Oh, you were on?
I was on like, I guess it was late last week, Thursday, and he travels a lot these days. Ever since the Sputnik went down, he's been traveling to save. Ironically, this is how fucked up our cost of living is in this country, and this is not a Trump problem. That it is actually cheaper for him to travel overseas,
yes,
and then camp out for like a month or two at an Airbnb,
yes,
because the cost of living is so much lower in all other countries that even with the travel expenses, he saves money that way.
That's what he does. You took the words right out of my mouth.
He's an inflation refugee.
Yeah. The last 2 times I was on his show, and we're all friends, all of us from Sputnik. Yeah. The last 2 times I was on his show, he was in Albania. And I was like, dude, Albania, what a miserable, well, I shouldn't say that.
Well, I've always felt
parts
that
of
way.
Albania are nice.
The workers' paradise, yeah.
The Greek parts of Albania are nice. So he said it's just so expensive in the States that he just can't afford to live there. And although his show is monetized, we've talked about what that means. It means maybe you're making $200 a month. Seriously.
Yeah. Well, he has more followers than we do, but I don't think he has as many watch hours as we do.
No, I'm sure that he doesn't, because he's doing it alone.
Yeah.
And then the second time I talked to him,
producer. You got to have a producer.
No, he does it himself. The second time I was on, he had moved from Albania to Kuala Lumpur and was in an Airbnb there. So he's just kind of bouncing around.
And I can verify that. You can stay at Airbnbs all over the world for like $35 a night, So
go to Athens in the off season. You can get one with an in-your-face view of the Parthenon for $35 a night.
Crazy. Yeah. So yeah, it's worth considering. John, 2010 Troy Boy wants to know if it's possible to get a signed copy of Doing Time Like a Spy. I bet it is.
Oh, sure. Oh, you know what? Thanks for bringing that up. I'll tell you what. When I was starting my European speaking tour a year ago, my publisher decided to make a second edition of Doing Time Like a Spy, and they printed 2,000 copies and they sent them to London, and then the whole tour was canceled.
Are they still there?
And they've been sitting in storage.
Oh, God.
For the past year. So just this morning, they emailed me to say that they're shipping them to the United States. They're going to get back to me in the next couple of days, but they're going to end up being in my garage. So I will have copies. Thanks for asking, and I'll say something as soon as I have more detail.
Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah, that's one of the things we've been talking about offline, John, about doing some book stuff. So yes. We'll make it clear how people can order signed copies or unsigned copies of of the books that you want. In my case, you just go to rall.com, RALL.com, and it's pretty self-evident. You just do it through PayPal or whatever. But anyway, we'll get you that info. FUSO, thanks for the buck. Redacted reported that an energy weapon was used in the Venezuela raid, causing headaches and nosebleeds, and may have disabled radar systems. Thoughts? Those weapons have been around since the 90s, at least. They're like pulse guns.
Yes.
And they've been used even by American police.
They were tested on the battlefield in Baghdad or outside.
Oh, wow.
Baghdad. Yeah.
And they've been used against demonstrators, like during Black Lives Matter and so on. I'm sure they'll be used by ICE.
Just as a note too, I really like Redacted. I really do. Yeah, I like those guys. Yeah. analysis is very strong. It's well considered. It's based on fact. I really enjoy that show.
Me too. Guys, you can tape that and play it on your show. Moron Mike 5860, and he wants to know any update to the visa to Australia, John.
Rejected. So I spoke with
assholes.
I spoke with one of my contacts there yesterday, and they engaged an attorney. The attorney was like zero help, other than to say, let's retry it as a business visa, and they'll write me a letter. They'll write a letter on my behalf, promising that I won't become a ward of the state and stay as an illegal alien in freaking Australia. So I'm gonna try. We'll see what happens.
Cool beans. Okay. A little more. Let's see. GV Man 43 wants to know, what's the reputation of the Italian intelligence services?
It's quite good. It's quite good. I like the Italians. I worked with the Italians before 9/11, and always a big group of nice guys. They ran circles around the CIA people surrounding the operation against Abu Omar, which was just a shit show, where they ended up filing felony charges against, I think, 16 CIA officers, several of whom I knew. But in that particular operation, the Italians were way smarter and way better than anything that the CIA put together. I like the Italians.
By the way, little housekeeping. Some people had been messaging me about Scott Adams from Dilbert and his death. DMZ America with me and Scott Stantis will be talking about Scott Adams tomorrow.
I saw your Facebook post.
Yeah,
about him.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm a little bit annoyed. Like, he guy who did Dilbert and was also racist dies.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, not cool.
It's really not cool, and it's also just not accurate. I mean, it's not like that was a very minor episode in his life. Stefan Takens wants to know, what do you think of Yanis? I'm going to butcher this. Varoufakis, the ex-Greek finance minister.
He's a friend of mine. Every time I go to Greece, we meet for breakfast if he's in the country. Funny thing, a lot of people are dual citizens. He's a quadra citizen. He's a citizen of Greece, Germany, Australia, and the UK.
Wow.
I love Yanis.
I could have had three if I'd been able to, if my wife had come through with Taiwanese citizenship for me.
Pretty cool, eh?
Well, Taiwanese citizenship.
Yeah, I like him very much. Very, very much. I think the last time we had breakfast, he had just been charged with treason in Greece.
That's a problem.
That is a life sentence, which in Greece really means 17 years. But I said, Yanni, how in the world could you be charged with treason for carrying out exactly what the orders were that were given to you by the prime minister? The reason he was charged with with treason, was that he went to a meeting of EU finance ministers and he threatened to leave the Eurozone, that Greece would readopt the drachma. And it was a bluff, but he knew it was a bluff. He was told it was a bluff. And then the Greeks didn't drop the drachma. But when the prime minister took a PR hit back home, he had to blame somebody, so he blamed Yanni. And they charged him with treason. I said, listen, in the United States, this is a death penalty case. What are you going to do? Yeah. He said, he goes, the Greeks charge everybody with treason.
Although, who knew that being a finance dork could end up being so dangerous? Let's just ask Jerome Powell.
Yes. And he said, these things usually take like 20 years to make their way through the courts. And by then, all the witnesses against you are either dead or they've forgotten what it was that you were supposed to have done. And they end up just dropping the charges.
Space Jockeys provides us with a good segue to the Epstein stuff. I wonder how much Italian intelligence knew about the Vatican child trafficking ring and if it connects to who Epstein was involved with.
That's a good question. My guess, just an educated guess, was they had to know a lot. I would think that they knew a lot.
they're right there.
Yeah.
I mean, the Vatican's not a real country.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like, let's talk about the Epstein situation. So the House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer is pissed off. They sent a subpoena to Bill and Hillary Clinton, wanting to know, having them come in and testify about everything that they knew about Epstein and his island and what went on there. And they basically sent a 4-page "fuck you" letter, saying that, like, they're not going to testify. Bring it. Fuck you. See, we're just not going to talk. They're trying to play the at last, sir, have you no decency card. I don't know if that's going to work with this particular stance. I would say that if you had nothing, this is one of the, I don't usually say this, but if Bill and Hill have nothing to hide, they probably would have been well advised to insist on televised hearings and going and testifying.
Yes. These are supposed to be closed door hearings.
Yeah. I might have said, I want this to be open so no one can miscategorize what I said. That might be my negotiating posture. How about you?
100% agree. First of all, I don't care who you are. If you have been the president of the United States, the first lady or secretary of state or senator, and you are subpoenaed to testify on Capitol Hill, you have to testify, whether you like it or not. Yeah. And just like we saw in the 1950s, if you don't like the question, you say, I decline to answer on the grounds that it may tend to incriminate me.
Right.
Or better yet, I don't recall.
Right.
I don't recall.
Right. And sometimes that's true. I mean, you know, I don't recall everything that's ever happened in my entire life. Do you?
So they're making this very big deal about it where it shouldn't be a big deal. Because if they're telling the truth, I mean, there's no evidence that Hillary ever went to that island.
No.
There is evidence, of course, documentary evidence that Bill went to the island, but there's nobody even accusing him of doing anything improper. So just go answer the freaking questions and be done with it. But I agree with you, Ted. Those should be nationally televised hearings. When I was
want to know.
I was subpoenaed in 2008 after I blew the whistle on the torture program, and it was the Democrats who subpoenaed me, and so I went up to testify, and they were behind closed doors, which I didn't object to, but they wouldn't allow the Republicans to question me.
Ridiculous.
And I said, I'm not going to answer any questions if I can't answer everybody's questions.
All the questions. John, let
I
me
had to go back on a
thought,
different
please.
day.
I don't want to we don't want to lose this ad.
Sorry, go.
And then Robbie is going to be very
Robbie
angry. Still haven't tried 1775 coffee. Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped, only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, and the vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus, no crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin-free and mold-free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip because Freedom isn't scoped with plastic. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions. And a black 1775 tumbler. $170 worth of coffee and gear is yours for $99. This is for the ones who've been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble, wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does. And, of course, you'll be getting the same coffee that Robbie drinks every morning to get ready for the show. Remember, he's back on Montana time, so it's very early for him.
Very early.
Okay, Epstein. The thing is, James Comer says he'll hold Bill and Hill in contempt of Congress. I mean, Steve Bannon went to jail for it.
And Peter Navarro.
So will anything happen here?
Yeah. This is going to be a real pissing match. And in the end, they're going to come to some sort of agreement, I suspect. They'll have to come to some sort of agreement. Can you imagine the Clintons being led away, in a perp walk for contempt of Congress to do terms of 4 months in the D.C. jail? Oh, my God. I don't mean to smile.
That makes me really happy.
Yeah.
I mean, it would definitely be rough justice, like Al Capone, getting charged with tax evasion. But still, I mean, we really can't get the Clintons for, NAFTA and destroying the entire industrial Midwest, but we can get them for this.
Yeah. And the thing is justice is supposed to be blind. And Bill Clinton is no different from you or me or any other American. And when you are subpoenaed to testify on Capitol Hill, whether you like it or not, you have to testify.
Well, you have to show up, right? You don't have to talk. You can take the fifth on everything.
Exactly.
But you do have to show up and show deference. And then the letter had a lot of editorial. All right. Well, anyway, okay. I do want to touch upon this ICE story, but let's hit some more comments first. Oh, well, this is a perfect segue. Sneaker Dad 1020. What do we think about the Black Panthers being armed in the streets to counter ICE? Well, I mean, it's the new Black Panthers, right? It's like the ad hoc the Black Panthers don't really exist in the way they did back in the 60s and 70s. They're kind of like the guardian angels. They show up for photos. So I don't think it's like ICE if I were ICE, I wouldn't be losing a lot of sleep over this. But they have their Second Amendment right. I mean, they certainly can do that. I mean, I wouldn't advise them to shoot anyway. So I had a dialogue on my Facebook yesterday with Ron Kuby, the great attorney. And I had just sort of put an open question. And I said, so question for lawyers. If someone were to be kidnapped by an unidentified masked man in an unmarked car, and they use deadly force to defend themselves, would they go to prison? And he said, well, it's like assuming he said, I wouldn't recommend that you try this, but if you survive the encounter, it would go to trial. And I think, I mean, it just seems like, okay, there already have been documented cases of rapists raping women by pretending to be ICE agents and saying, you have to come with me and taking somewhere. So there's a genuine fear. There's a legit reason to be afraid of people who say that they're ICE. And so you have unidentified mooks running around who basically, John, I don't know. I'm sure you've read these stories. I mean, the quality standards for these recruits is below the sub-basement, right? I mean, you only have to be 18 years old. There are people who are hired at 18 or 19 who are making $200,000 this year for working at ICE. People who fail the literacy test, they cannot speak or read the English language.
Same in the Bureau of Prisons.
And there's some fatty, talk about Hegseth, some fatty they hired who weighs 467 pounds. I don't know how the fuck. I mean, I'd be worried that he'd be breaking the axle of the rented ICE vehicles.
Yeah, I mean, lean up against a car and tip it over.
It's fucking insane. So, I mean, they're hiring basically pond scum. And so anyway, the point is, I don't know. Also, another statistic, a little factoid, there are more ICE personnel running around the streets of Minneapolis, St. Paul today than there are Minneapolis, St. Paul policemen.
I saw that yesterday.
That's a problem.
I saw that yesterday. Yeah, that's a big problem. But they did that on purpose. The Trump administration did that on purpose because the local police in Minneapolis are doing what little they can to try to protect people from ICE. And so ICE sent overwhelming force.
Yeah.
This is ugly. It's a serious situation. One of my closest friends from high school posted a long thing on Facebook yesterday that I shared. All of this is unfolding just 2-3 blocks from his house. And his name's Marty. And Marty's a real sweetheart. He wouldn't do anything to bother anybody, but he told a half a dozen stories in this post that make you say, I can't believe this is happening in America. Ogala Sioux being rounded up just because their skin is brown. And then when confirmed that they're Native Americans, they're not illegal, immigrants from Central America, kept in detention to try to force the Ogala Sioux Nation to allow ICE onto tribal lands. The fuck is that?
It's insane. I mean, they're literally being held as we speak now, even though we know they're U.S. citizens. This is also the Lakota say that this has happened to them. And, so obviously the tribal leaders are wrestling with the question of whether to cooperate. And I would say that once you've survived a 500-year genocide, maybe you can fucking wait out ICE and their stupidity.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say, like, if I'm a arrested ICE, if I'm arrested, and that could happen to anybody now. I mean, ICE is running around asking people for their ID, and when they're refused, they're threatening them with arrest. And I'd be like, look, you should accept arrest. Someone has to take a stand if you can, right? Like, if you can afford to, if you're not like, it's not going to imperil your livelihood, you're not going to lose your job or whatever, you should take that hit for America and go and like fight this, because people have to, otherwise nothing's going to get better.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Marty said in this post yesterday that that one of his neighbors is a small business owner. He's got a little grocery or something like that, and he's a naturalized American. I think he was originally Mexican, and he said ICE showed up in force with these unmarked Chevy Suburbans, no license plates on them. They showed up, they grabbed him. They finally released him a little bit later because he was able to prove his American citizenship. But then what they did is, even after they released him, they just parked their Suburbans in front of his store so that nobody could get to it. And he said he's going to be ruined if they don't finally get up and leave.
What a bunch of petty little bastards.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the thing is, they're really, look, more people are going to be hurt, right?
Yeah.
I mean, no question about this. I mean, Renee Good is just the first of the first. There will be, because it's inevitable. I mean, they set this up this way. And by the way, John, I'm sure you've seen the rhetoric coming out of the official White House and Homeland Security Twitter feeds is terrifying. I mean, the way that those are supposed to be like a place where boring press releases come out. The president will be meeting with the president of Burkina Faso from 8:15 to 8:18 today. This is fascist propaganda, and smearing American citizens. It's terrifying.
It's very divisive.
There's no pretense that a president of one party is the president of the entire country anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I guess to answer the question, I'm pro Black Panther. So, all right.
Tying all this together with Epstein, Donald Trump was in Detroit yesterday touring a car factory, and one of the auto workers shouted at him, like, "Why are you protecting pedophiles?" Something like that. And Trump,
pedophile protector, I think, is what the guy yelled.
"Fuck you! Fuck you!"
With the finger.
With the finger, in full view of all the cameras and the reporters.
Yeah. You've seen Idiocracy, I assume.
Oh yeah. Boy.
President Camacho, where he's like, I mean, we are at full Idiocracy mode. John, someone on Reddit dug up one of my old cartoons from 2003.
I saw that, Ted. Oh my gosh.
And I found it and dug it up also. And it's basically, this was during the peak of the war on terror, and Bush was like really invadey. And I thought of what was the most outrageous, ridiculous place the United States could ever want to invade because it posed the least threat. So I said Greenland, and I did the cartoon about that. It's like, we must fight the butchers of Nuuk. I don't know if it's Nuke or I think it's Nuke.
I don't know how to pronounce it, but I laughed out loud when I saw that cartoon.
It's kind of like, because literally it was the most insane thing I could think of. And here we are.
Here we are. And then he made a very inflammatory statement again this morning, saying that we will have Greenland one way or the other.
It's like, at least play the Blondie song while you're saying that.
Yeah.
Frasmataz, I know it can be a conspiracy theorist, but I want to remind you both that Kobe and Raisa of Iran died in a senseless helicopter crash. Shadow war, tit for tat. I mean, maybe. Although, as my father, the aeronautical engineer, used to say, according to the laws of conventional aeronautical dynamics, helicopters can't really fly. I mean, they're very unstable. Helicopters are dangerous.
They are dangerous.
Roberto Wilco, John, in your estimation, was Iran getting the better of Israel during the 12-day war?
From a strategic standpoint, I think so, because the Iranians proved a couple different things. First of all, even these slow motion drones were able to infiltrate the mighty and vaunted Iron Dome, right? They launched like 400 of them. 7 of them got through.
Some little girl got killed.
Yeah, that's important intelligence. And the other, that the Israelis have a limit on the number of missiles that they have. And the conventional wisdom is that war only lasted 12 days because, very simply, the Israelis ran out of missiles. That's another piece of important intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. We talked about that. Glass and Candy. Just saw a post on Reddit saying "Free Iran" with a photo of a protester holding up the Shah-era Iranian flag. These people literally know nothing about Iranian history, but should that be surprising? Yes, I don't know if it's not clear whether that protest was in Iran or not in Iran.
Right.
But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's like, I mean, it's kind of like, at least Cubans know they don't want to go back to, the way things were under Batista. John, for you, a Froze Dawn, do you think Israel and America are sending an indirect message to countries nationwide that if you're not a nuclear armed state and perceived as a threat, you could face destruction?
Yeah. I do. Yes. Quite a clear message.
Okay, we have a request from producer Robbie to do a call to action, and he will explain why. Why now and why? Robbie, fire away.
Hi there. All right. So basically, what it is, it comes down to just pure economics. For every nickel that YouTube pays us, Rumble pays us about 94 cents. That's the best way I can think of to put it. So right now, we have got record-breaking viewership on YouTube. We have got over 500 people watching live right now over on YouTube.
Wow!
And
thank you.
What I would like for 2 reasons, I would like for 200 of y'all to come over here and join us on Rumble. The weather's fine. You're like it's like tropical Miami over here on Rumble, and I mean that sincerely for 2 reasons. One, John and Ted get bigger paychecks. They get bigger paychecks. They can pay more bills. Number 2. There is this pro-Trump cultist channel that I want to dethrone and smash into 1,000 pieces. And I want y'all to help me do that because while I am a right-winger, I despise Trump. So y'all come on over and help us do both those things. And I will just say thank you very much from the bottom of my itsy-bitsy tiny eye-supporting heart.
Thank you, Robbie. Yeah, we can't lose Robbie. I mean, now that they're offering like $200,000 a year, we got to keep him well judiciously employed. So let's see. Lemon Curd. Have we seen reports that ICE has been sent there to antagonize, not calm? It's like a force of a war. Look, I don't know if there's any internal memos that have been leaked to that effect, or any ICE people have testified, but that's the effect of these tactics. I mean, when you storm in, you send it as a threat. When city and state officials tell you don't send these people in, when they're there wearing masks, these are troops. These are goon troops, and they're running around and they're behaving as unprofessionally as could be, as we just described. I talked about this in my column. This is meant to be to raise the temperature, and so is the rhetoric out of the White House. They're not stupid; they know what they're doing. I mean, this White House is the most sophisticated we've ever had in terms of external messaging, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't even add anything to that. I think you're exactly right.
I mean, they have young people running their social media feeds. They're picking up the memes. They're doing all that stuff. I mean, they're cool cats when it comes to that stuff. So no, this is not like, oh God, we laid it on too thick and then we pissed people off. This is more like Governor James Rhodes of Ohio when he dispatched the National Guard to Kent State. He said, "Go and kill some hippies. Go do that." That's what this is about. It's about playing to the base. I mean, look, what's going to happen is someone is going to get killed who's not an obnoxious, lesbian. and it's going to be someone people care about even more than Renee Good. And when that happens, like when it's like a little boy or a little girl, then the Trumpies are going to be like, oh shit, but we're not there yet.
No, that's exactly right. Mm-hmm.
Tariq, thanks for the buck. How much of national and global events are artificially generated to subvert current events and storylines that are inconvenient? Or is the mainstream media sufficient to shape narratives? We could do an hour on that.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, I have my thoughts. John, you want to start?
Yeah, I think for the most part, it's that whatever administration happens to be in office will use the media to change the public debate. For example, you don't want to answer questions about Epstein. You don't want to release any more documents, or you can't release the documents on time, or whatever it is, and you want to change the public debate. There are half a dozen issues out there that you can choose to focus on. Let's say we're going to attack Greenland, right? Then everybody's talking about that. There's one little incident somewhere in the Midwest. You end up sending thousands of ICE people to Minneapolis. You avert the public's attention. So sure, this is a common tactic. It always has been. You remember the film Wag the Dog? That's what it was all about.
Yeah, I mean, I think the crux of the question, John, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, is the question of like, well, are these things completely ginned up solely for that?
No.
And I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
I think these are all things that they would do anyway, but they time them. They have them like in advance. The other day I was playing Monopoly, and like you get like in the community chest or chance, you might get a get out of jail card, and you hold on to it, right, in case you need it to get out of jail. And I think they have, like, similarly, they have these cards like, at some point, we're going to want to flood the streets of American cities with military troops to sort of show who the boss is, where the federal government is the boss. And we don't need to do it today or tomorrow, but when the timing's right, we'll do it. So they already were. So it's the timing that they manipulate.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Okay. So, but anyway, that's a really important question. Kevin Cronin wants me to make a cartoon of Trump flipping off Americans saying he won't release the unredacted files, which I hope Sheldon Whitehouse posts on his website. Thanks for that suggestion. Troy Boy wants to know, would China or Russia really try to take over Greenland? Hell no.
No. Absolutely not.
They have no desire or interest in, or not to mention, they think Greenland is in our sphere of influence.
Exactly. I didn't realize until yesterday, we only have 200 troops there, and they're all members of the Space Command. And, where the big base used to be in southeastern Greenland, now the only base that we have left is in far northwestern Greenland, up by the North Pole. And, that's kind of all we've ever thought that we need.
And we're allowed to have as many as we want. We could have 15 bases with 100,000 guys if we wanted to.
Yeah.
We only have a few minutes left. Japan and South Korea, their presidents met, and they had they're kicking it, having a good time. They're basically trying to, she's the new right-wing prime minister of Japan. So basically, how important is this? Do we care? I mean, South Korea has always been kind of a politically conservative country. Japan's now veering to the right. Is this just like the funny part to me is just how shitty Japan has always treated South Korea.
Well, that's why this is newsworthy, I think, because there aren't very many countries in the world that hate each other more than Japan and South Korea. Yeah. Right?
With good reason.
Yeah, with good reason. The memories of, so-called comfort women from the Second World War and horrific, like historic atrocities committed by Japanese troops against South Korean or against Korean civilians in the Second World War. Those memories are still very fresh. So for the two countries to sort of band together to oppose China tells you how worried they are about China.
Or at least how worried they're pretending to be about China. China has no interest in invading South Korea.
Zero interest.
Or Japan, certainly. And the Japanese are so fucking racist against the Chinese and Koreans in Japan. It's insane.
The Japanese hate all other Asians.
Well, they hate everyone else.
Yeah, they do.
They're like I think they have peak racism working for them.
I have to agree.
John, you and I are we're recording a Rumble Premium Edition at 11 o'clock Eastern time, but that's not going to be live. So I'll see you in about an hour. I'll send you the link, and we'll send everyone else the link but you have to be a Rumble Premium member, as Robbie reminds you. You can do that for $10 a month through Rumble Premium, or you can then you get to see all premium content on Rumble, or if you just want to see ours, you can do that for $5 a month. That choice is up to you. Thank you so much for liking, following, and sharing the show. Just a reminder, Scott Stantis and I will be talking about Scott Adams tomorrow at 11 o'clock Eastern time when DMZ airs. TMI with Manila Chan and I is coming up right now, so please stay tuned for that. And John is going to be traveling Friday, so I have asked Scott if he'll come in and fill in. If not, Robbie will do it. And so that's all the housekeeping. Thanks, everyone. See you in an hour, John, and take care.
See ya.